Okay, good morning everybody. Trying to sort out my camera with the light. Hopefully you can see me. Welcome to Get Moving warm-up of today. What day are we on? Tuesday, the 31st of April. I'm Anna. Hopefully there's some of you out there. Oh, I can see some bubbles floating, so there are people out there, that's good. So today we are going to do our normal warm-up. So Get Moving is aimed at people who would typically find being active or exercising more difficult. So if you know anybody who might benefit from this and can join in with our very well established core gang, then please share this video either now and later, and then people can come back and do this in their own time. It's really important to keep active, more so than ever now when we're a little bit more restricted with going out and about. So we're going to do our normal warm-up, the warm-up that we would normally do in all of our, before the start of all of our classes. And then today we're also going to look at some of your favourites, something to work your tummy, and so we'll unpick that a little bit at the end of the warm-up. So let's get started, and this is where I have to remember to count and not take the mickey out of Karen tomorrow when he gets it wrong too. So we're going to start with legs. Big moves are good moves, so we're going to march on the spot and get your legs as high as you can. If you are seated, then you can still do this, and we're aiming for getting your legs as high as you can. So I'm going to do this standing, so we're going to do 20, the magic number. Are we ready? So 1, 2, knees come high as you can, and go as quickly as you can, but go at your pace. That's 10. Oh, that's 15. 18, 19, 20. Nicely done. So now we're going to move on to shoulders. I might actually have to take my jacket off already. Goodness. Sort that out. So now we're coming on to shoulders. So we're looking for big shoulder moves. If you can, arms up and back. Hopefully you can see that because of the light's not blocking it. And again, we're aiming to squeeze those shoulder blades together at the back. So you do what you can do, and again, you can do this seated or standing. So we're going to do another 20. So 1. Make sure the move is as big as you can do. If you can't move your arms above your head, make sure your shoulder rolls are as big as you can do, and squeeze those shoulder blades together at the back of the move. That's 9, 10. Big moves are good moves. Do as much as you can do. Waking up our shoulder joints and our upper back, which is quite useful for me. That's 15, 5 more to go. Nice big moves. 3 more. I hope no one's actually checking my counting. And last one. Nicely done. Okay, so your shoulders should feel a little bit more awake now. So back to legs. You can do the same again, marching on the spot like we did before. Or this time, you can do heel flicks, kick your bottom. If you need to hold on to something for a little bit of stability, that's absolutely fine. If you're seated, again, you can do lifting your knees, marching on the spot, or you can straighten your leg and get a bit more movement out of those knees. You choose. I'm going to do mine standing, and I'm going to kick my bottom. And again, we're going to go for 20. So, nice big moves, as much as you can do, and with as little support as you need. Halfway there already. sure you kick your bottoms. And 20. Gosh, doesn't time fly when you're having fun? Okay, so what will we do now, Karen? Twists. I'd sort of forgotten. So this time, back to our upper body. And again, seated or standing. If you can do it standing, then stand up. Arms across, fold your arms across your body. And we're going to twist all the way around as far as you can go, through the whole of your body, not just moving our arms. We want the whole of our upper body to turn as far as you can go. And we're going to do 20 of them. Now this is the one I get stuck with counting because my fingers are taken up somewhere else. So you have to bear with me. We'll do 20-ish. Okay. So 1. And again, big moves are good moves. If you keep looking forwards, then you don't go dizzy. Top tip. A wise man once said that. I don't know which wise man it was. I've yet to meet him. In fact, I'm beginning to doubt his existence. That's 13. 15. All the way round. Twist through that upper back. I think that's 17. 19. 20. Okay, nicely done. So, back to legs. Now this time, you can do what we've done before, knee lifts, heel flicks, or we can introduce a little bit of balance control. So one knee comes up to the hand and taps the hand twice. So we're standing on that supporting leg for a second or two longer. And again, if you need to hold on to something, then you can do that just to give yourself a bit of stability. That's absolutely fine. Use what you need, but don't hold on. If you can, try without. We're trying to practice our balance control. So again, we're going to do 20. And remember, it's knee to hand, not hand to knee. We know how people cheat. Okay, are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big moves are good moves. Oh, I forgot to clap. That's because I'm trying to count at the same time. Multitasking. I think that's 10. I can't use my right arm. That's my counting fingers. I think that's 15. Get your knee up as high as you can. I can see lots of comments coming in. I hope they're not being mean. And I think that's 20. Well done. Okay, my favourite. So this one, side bends. So again, seated or standing. So if you're standing, one arm goes down as far as you can go down the side of your leg. And if you can, the other arm reaches over. So you feel a nice big stretch down this side of your body. We're trying to keep your body in a straight line. So we're not leaning forwards like this. Your body stays in a straight line and you're stretching over so that you can feel a stretch through the side of your body rather than bending forwards and backwards. And if you're seated, the same sort of thing. One arm goes down and the other arm goes over. Hopefully you can just about see me in the camera there. So we're going to do 20 of these because they're my favourite, and I might do just a couple of extra because it was Mike's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday for yesterday, Mike. And just because we can, really. So, are we ready? Down one side and reach over. There's 1, 2. Keep the bubbles popping. It makes me happy to know that you're there. 4, and I'm not just doing this on my own. I think that's 6. 9. Big moves are good moves, and a big reach, that's 10. There's lots of bubbles popping. Thank you 15, big moves. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. One for Mike, one for Barry, one for Angie, and one for Denise. I don't know whether Denise is watching, but there's an extra one for Denise as well. Okay, back to legs, everybody's favourite, squats. So, there's loads of bubbles popping in, that's fabulous. So, squats, we can do this with or without a chair. So, if you are seated, we want to get you standing. That in itself is good work for your legs. So you do as many as you can do. When we're doing the squat, think of legs a little bit wider than hip width apart and stick your bottom backwards and squat down and then stand back up. You go as low as you can go and then stand all the way back up. If it's useful to have a chair, that's absolutely fine. Sit back down, balance on the chair and then stand back up. So sit down to the chair and stand back up. This is the exercise that helps with all of those everyday practical moves that we have to do to get in and out of sofas, soft sofas, seats, chairs, cars. So it works the muscles in your legs, which are really important. So we're going to do 20 of them, seated, using a chair if you need to. Let's do as much as we can do. Okay, are we ready? So, knees stay wide and your weight stays back to take the pressure out of your knees. That's 4. A nice big move, as big as you can do. 7, 8, 9, 10. If you're using a chair, weight back to the chair. Try not to sit all of your weight back down, so you're keeping that work through your legs, but you can use the chair just to steady yourself if you need to. That's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Nicely done. Okay, so now we're going to do some walking, some balance. That's my walking. They're my walking hands. So this is all about ankle mobility and balance control. So what we're going to practice, if you're seated, first of all, see if you can get as much movement out of your ankles as you can. So flex your toes and point your toes and wiggle your ankles around. That's what you're aiming for. If we're walking, easier version is just to walk normally, but with a deliberate heel placed on the floor first, toe pointing towards the ceiling, heel, toe, heel, toe. So you're going to walk a number of steps, heel, toe, heel, toe. If you can manage that absolutely fine, then we're going to make it a little bit harder and imagine that you're on that tightrope. So you're going to walk with heel toe action, but one foot directly in front of the other. And do that and control your wobbles. So I'm going to walk across my little gym here. You do as much as you can do. Remember, heel toe on the way forwards. I'm going to go out to camera shot in a second, so I'm going to come back. And on the way back, toe, heel. Toe, heel. Remember, we're aiming to get as much movement, and I'm not going to fall off the mats here, out of your ankles. So forwards, heel, toe, and try and keep your balance. I can see lots of comments, I just can't read them. It's probably better, isn't it? And and then toe heel on the way back. And then, last but not least, we've done some big moves. We've worked our upper body, we've got our lower body working. Now we're going to do some fast moves, so we're going to do fast feet. So this is just for you, John. And we're doing it twice today because Mr. Reese forgot the second time, which is always better, yesterday. So fast feet, what we're aiming for is standing as fast as you can go. Little steps and as much speed out of your feet as you can. If you need to do this seated, that's absolutely fine. So we're aiming for as much speed whilst you're seated. If you need to, build the speed up gradually. So sometimes it takes a little bit for us to get used to the rhythm, and that's absolutely fine. So we're going to go for 10 seconds and I'll count. So are we ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So as fast as we can go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, keep going. 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Okay, give your legs a little bit of a wiggle. Breathing should be up a little bit. Heart rate should be up a little bit. That's all good. And then the second time, because we all know, second time is always better than the first. So we're going to do that again. So this time, if you can go a little bit faster, brilliant. Are you ready? Go! 1, 2, 3. You can have your little T-Rex arms if you want. 5, 6, keep going. 8, 9, 9.5, 9.75. 10. Well done. Well done. Okay, and that's the warm-up over and done with. So if you want to, that's it. We've finished with your activity for the morning. You can always do it again this afternoon. But what we wanted to talk about now was something that can work your tummy. And we call it the Pallof press. I think it was invented by some Mr. Pallof, some way of torturing our tummy muscles. So it's really important that if we're working through our tummy muscles and through the sides of our tummies and our back, all of those muscles are vital to help keep good posture and to support us when we're sitting, when we're standing. And all of the working those muscles helps us do that better. So it's not just about moving our arms and our legs. That's important. Looking after our joints is important, but it's also important to look after the supporting muscles through the middle of your body, through your tummy and through your back. So this is one way of doing that, and you can do it seated or standing. So it makes it a little bit easier if you find it more difficult to lay down and do some core work. So I'm going to have to move the camera in a second, but we'll do all the talky bit here first. So Kerin talked to you yesterday about resistance bands and some of the things that you can do with resistance bands. You need a resistance band to be able to do this exercise. So this particular band is quite a hard resistance. I've got one attached to somewhere that I'm going to use in a second. I haven't got the variety of bands to show you that Kerin had. So if you want to look at the different strengths, then have a look back on the video that Kerin did yesterday. So you can use whichever resistance you need to. The aim is to work as hard as you can, and for the exercise to be doable and for you to keep good form. We don't want you doing this and you not doing it well, because that's when one, you're not working the right muscles, but also you can hurt yourself. So always remember, make it as hard as you can. Hard work is good, and you should be able to do it. So let me just move my camera. I need to move you over here a little bit. Oh, and hopefully the light is not going to be too horrible. Right, so I'm going to show you these seated. You can do them seated or standing. The only reason I'm showing you seated is because my anchor point, I'm using my weight rack here, is quite low. So it would either be kneeling down or seated, so I thought I may as well show you seated. So the most important thing is whatever you anchor your band to, and you could use a table or maybe a banister, a person, so somebody else could be your anchor. At several of our classes actually, we have people, this is a Max and Denise special, we have people working on either end of a band, so they're using each other as an anchor point. It doesn't matter particularly what you use as long as your resistance band is secure. So you don't want the band pinging off and hitting you in the face. I'm being a little bit more polite than Karen was yesterday. And if you are working with a partner, then obviously you want to make sure that both of you have got a really firm grip on the band. We don't want somebody letting go, because the band will flick and it stings if it hits you, believe me. So it needs to be secure. To make this easier, you need to be closer to the anchor point. The more stretch on the band, the more the band is going to try and pull you, and that makes it harder. So you start where you need to start, and it's always better to start slightly easier and build up. So I'm going to move a little bit further over. I might have to move my bench away actually. I've been a bit easy on myself. Let's move the bench over a little bit, and then I can sit here and still stay in camera shot. I'm going to have to move you. Oh, the technicalities. There we go. That's better. Right, so the start point is really important. So as with any exercise, your base is a good start point. So you need to be sitting up tall with your weight evenly spread. If you're standing, you would stand tall with your weight evenly spread between your left and your right side. So we're going to be seated with the weight. We're not going to be lolled to one side. And we need to be sitting up tall. So we're not sitting like a bag of spuds like that. We're sitting up tall with our shoulder blades pinching together and nice and broad across our chest. And that's the posture that we want to keep throughout the exercise. So we don't want this to happen, and we don't want our shoulders to hunch up. If that's happening, you probably need to make it a little bit easier to start off with, just so that you can teach yourself the right posture. So when we are sitting nice and tall, nice and broad across your collarbones, shoulders relaxed and down, and you start off with the band held between your hands firmly, just tucked in just by your rib cage. And the idea of this is that you keep that nice posture and you straighten your arms so that they are parallel to the floor. So if I show you this way, you'll be sitting like that with your arms straight out. And there are two ways of doing this exercise. You can hold the band out for a second and bring it back in, so you can do repetitions, and that makes it slightly easier. Or you can hold the band out and hold it. Now, the important thing for all of these exercises is to keep breathing. So if you find it harder to breathe whilst your tummy is working, then do the repetitions, because that releases the tension and allows you to take a breath. And then as you get more used to the strength and your muscles get used to it, then you can go for the endurance version and hold your hands out straight. Now, some of the things that can go wrong, as you're holding your arms out straight, like I said before, we can tend to cave in as we get tired. So we don't want that to happen, and we don't want our arms to drop down. So you want your arms out straight. And what's happening is, as you're pulling against the band is trying to pull me back that way, and I'm having to work through all of my tummy muscles but down one side to stabilise myself. So I'm trying to not let the band pull me that way. And you'll find that you have to work through your legs as well to stabilise and stop pulling you over. The further away I sit, the harder it... Oh, even the weights bench moved then. There's not enough weight in there. The harder you have to work. So you work as hard as you can. And remember that whatever you do on one side, you have to turn around and do on the other side. Because although it works all of your tummy, it works one side slightly differently to the other, and we don't want you to be wonky. So just swap around and do the other side. And typically you could do 3 different sets of this. So you could do some 10 repetitions, have a bit of a rest, and then do it again 3 times on each side, something like that. Or hold the band for a count of 10 breaths, have a rest, do the other side, and then come back and do it that way. It doesn't matter which way around you do it, as long as you do it at least twice, because the second time is always better on each side. And you should feel that works your tummy quite nicely. A slight variation on this is exactly the same setup, but instead of holding your hands out to the front, you hold your hands up. So we do an overhead Pallof press. This is slightly harder, so you need to make sure your base is solid. And if you're finding it more difficult to hold this one, then don't try this one just yet. So this one, can you see it's pulling me over there now? And what we're aiming to do is to get our arms straight above our head. Now that is really pulling me that way. So I'm having to work an awful lot harder through my obliques, the muscles in the side of my tummy, and into my back. So it's really good because it gets more of your core, but we want you to be able to do it safely. So make sure you are the right distance. And again, if you need to, you can go up and come down, up and come down. So you don't have to just hold it. I am actually having to work quite hard there to keep that straight-ish. But you can mix and match depending on where you're at. So hopefully that's made sense and you've been able to see and hear me okay. If you have any questions about the Pallof press or any of the warm-up, or you want any requests, we've done bits and pieces on balance, we've done the sit-stand move, Karen did some resistance band stuff yesterday. Anything else that you'd like us to go through, or anything you'd like us to add onto the warm-up sessions, then let us know and we'll see what we can do for tomorrow. I'll be handing back to Karen for tomorrow for you, so you can get you can see Karen in the morning at 11 and then let us know how things are going. So we hope that everyone's coping. We're missing you like mad. This is the sort of a poor second. We'd much rather be doing the classes, but I'm really glad that lots of you are joining in and keeping moving, and it's so lovely to hear your comments. It's good for us. So I'll see you at some point over the next few days, and I'll be on the messages tomorrow. So take care everybody, and we'll see you soon.